Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to another Watch and Talk here at Automotive Anatomy. At the time of this recording is 12 midnight on Labor Day weekend. So happy to everybody who's celebrating Labor Day weekend. Um, Even those who are on unemployment. Just kidding. Um, I just want to say what's up. Uh, it's crazy. You guys know that these Watch and Talks are more like audio diary of what goes in my mind, what I think about, topics that I want to discuss, and things that happen to me, right? And you know, as as much as I guess I know maybe that it's not the best thing to think about or to take action upon or to just kind of spend time on it. Uh, I wanted to discuss this because it's been running in my head for a couple days now. I don't know if the right term is living in the past. Um, I've been very nostalgic this past week, and I go in phases of this, specifically when it comes to high school. Um, I don't know what it is. I really don't know. By the way, on this Watch and Talk, I'm gonna show like every single time I move the camera, just so you guys can get an idea. Um, but it's weird. I don't know what triggers it. I don't know how or when, but I'll go in these phases where, for a lack of better word, I guess, um, I try to, see what other people have been up to, that I graduate with. I don't know, like I mentioned, you guys, I don't know what causes it, but there's times that I'll start searching something, and then I'll go to sleep really late. Um, it's funny because from high school, I wasn't popular per se. I didn't play sports. I was never the good looking kid. Um, but I knew a lot of people. I was, I guess you would say, the class clown. Um, and now looking back, I kind of realized that it was more for attention, right? I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of something. But anyways, um, I guess I was known by different individuals, and so I'm trying to remember what trigger this last. I guess I don't want to say episode, but I guess it is an episode because then I go many months and years without even caring what other people do. As much as I'm trying to stay in my lane. I think that's extremely important for me. Um, but I don't know if any of you guys can understand, or actually if you guys feel comfortable or honest about it, if you guys can comment and let me know that I'm not the only one. Um, but I'll give you guys an example. Excuse me. So it was like, man. So like I said, today is Monday, technically midnight. Um, and like 3 nights ago, I went to sleep really late. I don't know why a specific person from high school came to mind, and I tried searching that person, and then a whole bunch of criminal records came up, and I was like, what? So obviously their life has taken a different path that I would have, ever imagined. So it got me thinking. Okay, so from that person I went to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, and I couldn't, some of them I couldn't find, some I could find on Instagram. I came across this one individual that we weren't very best friends, but I had him for a class, and I remember him. Let me see what he's up to. His Instagram was, I don't follow him on Instagram. Um, he doesn't follow me. And it was crazy to see his last, we all graduated from 2009. So you would say 12 years. Um, I know some of you guys have been out of high school for longer than that, but just bear with me. For me, 12 years, just to even imagine or think that, wow, I've been out of high school for 12 years is crazy. Um, and so to be able to see his life for the past, he's 10 years or so, it's crazy. It's crazy to see what he we know that social media is a platform where people show their highlights, all their good times. They don't show their rough times for the most part. And man, from that single individual, I was able to see things like what he's been up to, where he works, what he likes to do, um, people he's dated, some that he hasn't erased their picture. And it was interesting because from his profile, I came across somebody that he had dated, and so I click on that profile, and although her profile was private, her she I guess she had been writing a blog from 2014 to 2019. That was the last blog she wrote, and I found it extremely interesting just for her to be able to write things and thoughts that you normally don't share with people. And they weren't bad or they weren't sexual. It was just things like dates that she had been going out with, and I don't know. I just add to the fuel. Add fuel to the fire of just remembering. So I kept reading. I read from 2019 all the way down to 2014. It wasn't that many blogs. They were short, easy to read. But I was just so fascinated about this random girl that I didn't know anything about, and for her to share her experiences, um, and her stories. And so, I kept telling myself, like, maybe that's why the channel has been such a success, because we're sharing stories. We can all relate. It's taking us back to that one moment. So, in a way, not saying that we're living in the past, but it helps us to understand where we come from, where we're going, where we're at, and okay, so I just kind of thinking about that, and that was like I think on a Wednesday. Man, I went to sleep really late, like 3:30 in the morning late, and I had to be at work by 7. So I was just tired. I was like, okay, and then music, music starts coming on the radio that I listened when I was in high school, and I was like, okay, well, this is weird, um, that that music's popping up, and then out of nowhere, again, I guess it's subconsciously I've been thinking about this stuff. These are other random GoFundMe came about from a high school classmate of mine. I actually only talked to her twice, and that was because my buddy liked her, and he wanted to give her some letters, and so I gave them to her on his behalf. He was somewhere, and well, long story short, she just randomly came up in my Instagram because I guess she was beaten beaten badly in Vegas, and it's like, whoa, like I never really talked to the young lady, um, but I know who she was, and that hit home, like, whoa, I went to high school with that girl. Now she was 30, or she was 30, rest in peace, and so that kind of triggered something else. I was like, whoa, like it's just so many different stuff. And I told my wife all of this. I share with my wife because she's been she has been, she is, and she will be the person I trust with the most you know insecurities that I've dealt with, challenges. She's been, and she is the most supportive person I've been with. It's crazy. Um, and so yeah, I told her, like, I don't know what's going on, man. Like, I've been feeling very like nostalgic. It's just like, why? I was like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, I told her I went on this rabbit hole, and I told her about the blog, and I told her about a couple classmates that do not have their Instagram blocked, and that I was able to see what they were up to, and don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily care so much about what everybody's up to. Um, there's a few individuals that I'm just like, oh, that'd be interesting to know what they've been up to. And the reason why I tell you guys is because so then that was that, right? And then on Thursday or Friday, at work, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. So I'm listening to podcasts, and all of a sudden, I'm listening to one from Gary Vee, in which he says something about performance and success, and where people are at in life. And then he said this line where he's like, how many people? It was like a podcast interview. It's like how many of you guys right here can think of that one person in high school? So again, kind of connecting it back to high school. That you were like, oh man, that guy or that girl is gonna be super successful, super, either entrepreneur or popular or whatever. And once they graduate high school, they just plateau. Nothing went right, or they just haven't done anything. And then how about that one person that you're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, he doesn't have good grades. He's not popular. He was nobody. In this case, he was saying himself. Now he's running multi-million-dollar businesses. He's has a social media presence, etc., etc. And and again, going back to like the whole Wednesday, Thursday, that Friday, I was like, oh, okay. So obviously that triggered to start thinking about high school, and who. And it's crazy because I think of one person. I keep in contact with her, but I know for a fact like she had different plans for herself. She still to this day has different plans for herself. Very popular person, um, always cool with me, but yeah, definitely very very popular, um, athletic. I mean, you name it, and then I've been able to follow up on what she's been up to. Her, I actually follow on social media. I had a few chats, but just getting to know her, like she seems to be doing okay, but she came on a podcast, and she was sharing some frustration, how some of the stuff that she wanted to do after high school hasn't come to fruition. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So I kind of internalized what Gary Vee had said, because I was thinking about her, but then I was thinking about me. And not to say that I'm running multi-million-dollar companies, or that I'm social media presence, or that I'm a millionaire or whatever, but I'm like, damn, like, you know I I was a kid in high school who had so much more potential, but I also wanted to belong. And the people that I wanted to belong with, school was not a priority. And if you were into school, like, it was almost like a negative thing, to be honest with you guys. um we dress a certain way, we listen to certain music. Even looking back now, like, there's some songs that come up and I'm like, man, it's a cool new song. And then I look up the date and it was like back in 2004, 2000. I'm like, where was I? What was I listening to? um Obviously I was in a different environment, different mentality, different everything. And so now looking back, I'm thinking, why do I go in this rabbit hole sometimes of knowing or wanting to know what somebody's up to? Is it that I'm comparing myself to them? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I am. I don't know. Um, I can tell you guys, my biggest goals right now, personally, uh, is working on my health. By the way, big shout out to all of you guys, man. Like Rob, um, Rob from Canada, Rob Bretonia, um, and everybody else who commented on that one video where my back was really hurting when I messed up my back. I've been stretching every morning, guys. I've been stretching. I've been eating a little bit less. I haven't lost weight, like, oh my gosh, but I feel so much better. I feel lighter. I started playing basketball again. So I'm feeling so much better, and the energy level has definitely increased so much. Big shout out to you guys. So that's one of the biggest personal things that I kind of want to continue to tackle, just feeling better. There's days that I'm like, damn, I should shave, but I like my beard, just because I look older with it. But you know, that's neither here or there. And my other two major personal is just being happy. And I know that sounds weird, but it's just being content with what you do have, because there's so many material things that I want, such as a house, such as a lowrider, such as the Porsche. Um, those are the two main, I guess, material things that I want. And I don't know when or how they're gonna happen, but they will. It's just a matter of time. And obviously working on relationships. But I don't know. I just really wanted to share some of these stories with you guys, just because even right now it's midnight, and again, man, I think I started like around 8:39. I started. What triggered it was, YouTube. I was responding to some comments from you guys, and I wanted to listen to music, so I didn't want to listen to none of the new music. So I put 2005, top 100 songs, and yeah, 2005 I was a freshman, six I was a sophomore, seven junior, oh nine I ended up graduating. So it all those songs brought up so many different memories. Some of those songs back then, obviously, some of you guys will remember, MySpace was huge, and so you can, customize your MySpace page by putting a song, and then after it became like 8 songs, and after that, like 12 songs, or your top 5 friends, and so it was crazy because I was listening to some of those songs and remembering certain people. Um, Now I don't remember everybody from the people that I graduated, but it's crazy that if I even Google class of '09 from the high school that I graduated, the local newspaper did a write up on us, and so literally everyone who graduated, our names are on Google. Aside from the fact that I do have my yearbook, I have the only things I keep from school is my middle school yearbook, my high school yearbook. That's it. And and so yeah, man, like this is kind of been, and again, I'll snap out of it, but it's not the first time. It's been a couple of times where, I don't have, I have a Facebook, but it's just use it for marketplace. I don't really log in to update stuff there, like, to be honest with you guys. And so, but sometimes I do use it to like randomly think, what happened to that person, you know? And so I'll try to search people's names, and if I find them, then I find them. If I don't, I don't, and then I forget. Um, and so like today I started at 8:30. I listened to music, and from there that kind of spiraled me back to that whole Instagram, social media, seeing if I can find certain people. I end up finding, a few people that um, I was just fascinated by their stories. You know, there was a student, a coworker, um, a classmate of mine that I met her freshman year, and by senior year she had turned like super into hippies and and mushrooms and all that stuff. I didn't understand it back then, but that's what she was into. And ironically enough, I knew she moved to Oregon, and so I was able to see where she has spent her last 11 years, since she moved from Cali. Like she knew Orange County was in for her, and she made the change, and she's been living in the woodsy areas, and posts a lot of pictures of mushrooms. So I would assume that she still does mushrooms, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to hear. Like I said, that classmate of mine that passed away from the guy that she was dating, physically choking her and beating her in Las Vegas. Um, that was rough. That was rough, man. And that came up again today, and I was like, whoa, like, um, man, so young, and she seemed like she was doing amazing things. And again, I don't know her that well, but I did speak to her a couple times because my buddy was like, hey, I like this chick, and if you can give her these letters from me. At the time, he was in jail, so when I went up to her, I'm like, hey, this is super weird, but my buddy who's in jail, his name is so and so. He says he knows you from this math class back in middle school, and then freshman year, and he kind of likes you. And she was looking at me like, what the heck, because this person was like super, good grades, good sports, and everything. I was like, this are the letters I'm like, he's in jail. So I'm sure that was like, what the heck. um and to my knowledge, she never responded to him for obvious reasons. But yeah, life life moves fast. I think that's what I want to have a conversation about, you guys. Life moves fast, and um again, if you guys feel comfortable or not, if you guys ever go into these rabbit holes, for me, music is a huge trigger. I listen to some songs, and man, it just takes me back, man. um I think about certain people, and you know little things. I've always been like that. This is not like a, oh, only high school. Like, it's just been for a whole bunch of different things. I'll give you guys another example. I watch the show The Office a lot, right? And I think to myself, like, I wonder if people from the cast ever watched The Office, their own show, what they did for a living, you know, or is it painful, or does it not matter? Does that make sense? Like, if if they were part of that show, do they think back like, who cares? Like, that was a part of my life, and we move on, or do they actually say, "Oh man, I wish I wasn't back in those days," and that's why they avoid it. Um, me personally, I don't know. I don't think that I necessarily would want to be back in those days, 100%. There's some things that, if I could do high school over again, some people say, oh no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change a thing because that's what made me who I am. And as much as I would like to say that, I think I would change stuff. I would change stuff like be more involved, have more of that high school experience. I felt like I was, I lacked self confidence, that I wanted to be with my buddies that they didn't want to do what I wanted to do. They were more into drugs and gangs and uh, you know, being 15, 16, 17. I guess it's hard. It's hard to tell yourself like, hey, you can go do something by yourself. It's okay. Being by yourself in essence is difficult, especially at that age. Obviously now I'm 100% okay with being by myself, but during those times I can definitely remember just lacking that self confidence. And so, like I said, I'll go through this and then I'll completely forget about high school or anything in my past or anything. Um, and what's crazy to me is the fact that when we're in high school, like we know so many different people. And oh, so then brings me to my next story about the whole nostalgic feel. So my wife and I go on a walk today, and there's a gentleman that we always see, and very very nice gentleman. He's older, um, and out of nowhere he starts having a chat. He's like, "Yeah, I just had a I went golfing with my buddy from high school, who I met in middle school, who was my best friend in high school till his senior year when he moved to Seattle." And again, my wife looks at me like, oh, like high school stuff, like I've been telling her for the last 2 days. And oh, side story. Before that, at night before on Saturday night, we ended up going to this coffee place, and they were putting on the radio station. I don't remember what it was. They were putting all these like Mariah Carey songs when we were in high school. Um, this like Promiscuous Girl by Justin Timberlake or Mike Jones, like all these songs that I would listen to in high school. She looks at me, she's like, "What the heck, dude? Are you like bringing the whole high school energy with you?" And I was like, "I don't know what's going on." And so today when we went on a walk, she looked at me like high school again, Um, so, anyways, the gentleman starts discussing that he lost contact with this individual after they graduated high school. Back then, in the 81. I think that's when he graduated high school. Like obviously in the 80s, there was no email. They would write letters, but he's like, yeah, my buddy moved to Seattle, and I lost contact with him. And then many years later, I used to play basketball at this certain park, and this gentleman, starts playing with us, and we start talking. He says, "Oh yeah, I graduated from the University of Washington," and so he's like, "Oh no way, my buddy, that guy from Washington, he graduated from there too." He's like, "What are the odds?" So I'm like, I'm just gonna ask him. I'm like, "Hey, do you know so and so?" And he's like, "What?" As a matter of fact, I do. He's like, "No way." He's like, "Yeah, I go back to Washington once a month, um, just for different stuff that I got going on over there." Okay. Do you mind if you could get in contact with this gentleman? He does. Month later, that guy calls him. It's like, "Hey, buddy, like we haven't talked in 40 years. I got your number through so and so." And so this week, that gentleman came down from Seattle, and after 40 years, they had coffee, they had beer, they went golfing, and afterwards, I told my wife on the drive home, I was like, "What the heck, dude?" She's like, "I know what's going on with you in high school. Like it's you," and she doesn't do that to my knowledge. I don't think she does. I think she's so focused on other stuff that she doesn't have time to be like, let me see what my classmates are up to. Nor maybe that she doesn't care, but I go through those phases like I mentioned. And anyways, I came home and I started listening to that 2006 top 100 songs, and oh man, all these songs that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. And then you kind of start piecing them together. Oh yeah, I remember listening to this song when I was in this class or whatever. And and then again the whole bug started, and I found some other people. And it's crazy because I found some people that I didn't really had major conversations with them or were friends, but I remember them. And like one of them is a CEO of this company, and he moved out of state, and he has a podcast and this and blah blah, blah. Oh shoot, I was like, oh, he's doing good things. So Actually, that he's the only one that I sent a DM to. I normally don't, I sent him a DM and say, "Hey, man, looks like you're kicking ass. We're, we went to high school together, and I don't know if he remembers me. Maybe he doesn't, but I like what he's doing. I think he's being motivating to the clientele, the niche that he's trying to do, and kudos to him. I don't know if I would agree with 100% of what his mission is, but it seems like he's doing good things. And so, why do I share all this stuff with you guys? I share this stuff with you guys because this is like a diary, for me able to explain my thoughts, and I think some of you guys do appreciate it. It it definitely is crazy what time is and what time looks like. I'll tell you guys this much. When I was in high school, I had a lot of acquaintances. At the time, I thought they were like super good friends, right? And if you would have told me, like, by the way, you're not gonna talk to none of these people in 3, and 5, and 10 years from now, I would never believe you, because in that moment in time, those were my best like friends. Like, I couldn't do anything without them. Well, fast forward now, 2021. I only talked to one person from high school. By the way, this individual I was really good friends with, but not best friends at all. In fact, we met through the basketball team. I have to tell you guys about the whole basketball. How I made the basketball team for my high school. I'll tell you guys that story later, because that one in itself is a whole different trip about just doing things that are uncomfortable and just making it happen. So maybe I'll do that for the next Watch and Talk. But, anyways, I met this gentleman through basketball, and I don't know. We just talked all the time. We never lost contact somehow. He doesn't have an Instagram. He doesn't have a Facebook. We went to different colleges, but we never lost contact. And I think that's when it tells you, like, oh, you guys, you guys really tried, because it was basketball that really kept us, um, you know, in communication. Like, I would hit him up and be like, hey, we're gonna play basketball and so at this park. You want to play? He was really, really, really good at basketball. And long story short, like, he's the only person in entire high school that I keep in contact with. It's wild to think. It's so wild, because at the time I was like, oh, I was super cool with so and so, I was super cool with so and so, and things change. But the reason why I share with all of you guys is because I'm sure that you guys, some of you guys, maybe not all of you, um, may find some value in this. Maybe you guys can tell me. Maybe, Gus, you're living in the past. There's something that's keeping you in the past. I don't know. I don't know. I don't sit. I don't, it's not like I sit and think like, oh, I wish I was back in high school. No, don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm thinking. And it's not like, oh, I wish I was dating somebody else. Oh no, like, my wife is. I can honestly say that I hit the lotto with my wife. Like, I'm so deserve. I'm so humbled and not deserving of her. Like, she is amazing. Um, so there's definitely not like, oh, there's a girl that I wish I had made it out. Made it work, or no, 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 none of that. But I think, you look back and you're like, damn, where did time go? So, that's the reason why I share this stuff with you guys. I don't know. I don't know. Time goes fast, and been able to experience that. And the older I get, the faster time goes. And some of you guys may or may not, relate. But all I can say is, keep doing things that make you happy, because time comes and goes so fast. And yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. My little episode, if that's what you guys want to call it, of me going back to high school, or